I always wondered how long it would take me until this team pisses me off. You know, I thought episode 10 maybe episode 8 at a push. Episode 5. Episode 5 it is, and they've actually pissed me off. But I should be realistic with my expectations, because I am managing a team that should be nowhere near the championship, with a squad that is nowhere near championship level, and playing teams that are so much better than me and have so much more money. And yet still, they still managed to fuck me off. In the last episode, we took on Huddersfield at home, a team I also used to manage on a series like this, and we lost by 1-0, which means that I've now faced 2 of my former sides that I've managed in attempting not to get sacked, and I've lost them both without scoring. I wonder why I picked these games. Really wonder why I picked these games. And I thought that was bad until I played the games after this match. Now, following that game against Huddersfield Town, we took on Derby County away from home. And after Wayne Rooney missed a penalty, Derby County then proceeded to score 3. Colin Kazim Richards, Max Bird, and Wayne Rooney scoring a free kick in the first half to give them a 3-0 lead. We did pull a goal back in the second half through Alex Patterson, but we proceeded to lose 3-1. We followed out with a home game against bottom of the table Stoke, and we bounced back with a 3-0 win. Zach Clough opened his account for the club, and then we were fortunate not to get 1 but 2 own goals in our favour. And I mean, Stoke really are shit. No wonder they're bottom of the league. We then followed that up with an away trip to Preston North End, and after going 2-0 down within the first 10 minutes, I decided to turn things around, and we did turn things around as well, as we brought it back to 2-2. Daniel Nalondalu also scoring his first goal for the club, but then we proceeded to concede 4 in the second half, which I can't quite work out how we did that, as they just scored goal after goal, and it was almost like my defence weren't there. And in order to bounce back from that, we then took on Barnsley away from home, and well, we conceded in the 12th minute, which I thought, okay, that's not too bad, and then proceeded to concede in the 13th minute and in the 14th minute. So we were 3-0 down at half time. And after berating the team at half time, we then proceeded to concede another 3 in the second half and lose by 6-0. I lost to Barnsley by 6-0. No wonder this team is pissing me off. But we do take on bottom of the table Coventry City at home, and I've only picked this game because I need a win to improve morale, because we are struggling at the moment. Now, the Wycombe fans have been very active on social media recently, and after our 3-1 defeat against Derby, Prince Howarth, who I believe isn't even a real count, said that Wycombe had done us all proud with that display. Brilliant, stirring stuff. I mean, is he trolling, or what? Is it a fan of a rival team who's just saying that as a Wycombe fan, apparently? I really hope it's not the Winkler coming back to haunt me again. Also in that 3-1 defeat to Derby, they said that the best performer was David Stockdale, our goalkeeper, who made the difference even though he conceded 3. I mean, he probably would have made more of a difference if he only took the ball out of the net once, but it is what it is. I mean, I feel like I'm saying that a lot. It is what it is, but what is it? The FA Cup third round draw also threw together an interesting tie, he said with a lot of sarcasm, as we were drawn against Middlesbrough away from home in the FA Cup, who are currently below us in the league. Can't imagine too many foreign TV channels are going to pick up the rights for that game. Before our resounding 3-0 win against Stoke, a few of the players weren't happy with the poor dressing room atmosphere that is currently at the club. And I mean, to be fair, if you look on the basis of things, I mean, you boys are the ones losing the games on the pitch, and you're bringing the bad energy into the dressing room. It's not my fault. My tactics are there for you to actually follow, and you don't follow them, and we lose the game. Or are they following them, and we're losing the game? I mean, I don't want to get into a dispute about this. And in the team meeting, I said that there was a few bad influences in the dressing room, and I can't wait to move them on. And I've promised them that, and I feel like I'm going to break that promise almost instantly. I feel like football management isn't for me. I think I should go into politics. Yeah, I'm 100% I should go into politics. You know, I've improved the morale of all the players, and I'm going to ruin it in 2 weeks' time again. I also found out the end date for the promise is the 1st of March 2021. Yeah, I've got a long time to ruin the morale. David Stockdale was also named in Team of the Week after that 3-1 defeat against Derby. I mean, that literally makes 0 sense. He's conceded 3 goals. He should not be in Team of the Week for conceding 3 goals. I mean, maybe I'm being a bit harsh on him because he probably made a lot of saves, but he still conceded 3 goals. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the goalkeeper ratings are broken again this year, because David Stockdale got man of the match again in a game which he actually kept a clean sheet. I mean, that makes more sense, but he won't get in Team of the Week now for that reason. I'm also 100% sure I'm being trolled by the social media, because Akil Nicol said, "What a match. Football was the real winner today in our 6-2 defeat against Preston." We lost 6-2. What winner was there other than Preston North End? The worst news of the season is that Uche Ikpeazu is now out for 8 weeks with a thigh strain, which he picked up at the Preston North End game, which means that I'm now down to 2 strikers, one of whom I brought in as a right midfielder. So that's gone really well. I just wanna die. Neil Warnock was also sacked by Middlesbrough recently, and, you know, I've got to face them twice in 5 days, and I can't wait for that because they're definitely going to beat me now, aren't they? We've also given Alex Patterson a new 3-year deal because his deal is running out at the end of the season. I mean, he's chipped in with a few goals, and he's our best player by far. I don't really feel like I need to give any more reasons than that. And he'll also be worth a lot of money when we get relegated at the end of the season, but I'm not going to go into the financial details of the contract now. The board also told me they had concerns about the wage budget control because I'd obviously given Alex Patterson a new deal, and then they decided to decrease the percentage of player sales revenue or something like that to 30%, but they said they will increase it again when we make 50 million in player sales. The board do realise that if I had £1.50 in my hand and I went into a shop and said, can I buy the Wycombe team, they would give me the Wycombe team and then still give me change after that. That's how much they're worth. I was just putting this image up there to show people that I actually lost 6-0 to Barnsley, and they also called it a shock result. I mean, did they see us defend? I mean, the biggest shock of all is that David Stockdale didn't get man of the match. I mean, he conceded 6 goals. Of course he should be getting man of the match for that, according to Football Manager's logic. And they also told me that the man of the match that game was Ryan Tafazoli, who relieved the pressure off us by doing a lot of headers. I mean, what pressure? We conceded 6 goals. And finally, the Wycombe players decided to come together and refund the fans that had turned up at Oakwell to see our 6-0 humiliation against Barnsley. And I found out that only 351 fans actually made the trip. And I feel sorry for every single one of them because that was absolutely dire. I mean, first of all, travelling to Barnsley, and second of all, having to watch that. I mean, why be a Wycombe fan? Please, explain it in the comments. But now we move into our game against Coventry City at home, and I have adopted the same system which got us a 3-0 win in our last home game against Stoke, but also the same system that conceded 12 goals against Preston and Barnsley. So anything can happen, really. But we do start off with Adebayo FM21 and Zach Clough leading the line for us because of a lot of striker injuries, which means Alex Samuel, a player with League 2 quality, is on the bench for us. Jack Grimmer comes in to the right-hand side of the fence to replace Jason McCarthy, with Darius Charles moving into centre-back as I've moved Josh Knight from centre-back to centre defensive midfield. And Nick Freeman fills in at right mid for the first time this season because I've actually run out of right midfielders. It's unbelievable that pretty much my entire right side of midfield is injured at the moment. I completely forgot as well that this actually is a game between two teams that got promoted last season. Coventry obviously won League 1 last season despite the season ending early, and Wycombe obviously went through the playoffs despite not finishing in the playoffs last year. Do I still sound bitter that Portsmouth didn't go up last year and instead it was these two teams? No, of course not. Of course I'm not bitter. But if these two teams could get relegated in real life as soon as possible, that'd be great. So, as I mentioned in the team sheet part, we played this system against Stoke and won by 3-0, and they were bottom of the league at the time we played them. So, therefore, I decided to adopt the same formation and system against Coventry, who were bottom of the league. And it worked out really well, because after 2 minutes, we went 1-0 down. And what I can't understand is Tyler Walker scored 9 goals this season, and yet Coventry are bottom of the league. And yet my top goal scorer's got 5 goals, and the one behind him, it's got 3 goals, and yet we're 19th in the league. How does that make any sense? I mean, I love the fact that I haven't even talked about the finish at all. I mean, it was a really good finish, but still, how does that make any sense? A couple of minutes later, Nick Freeman, who was filling in at right mid for the first time this season, ran down the line and then got to the byline and then was fouled into the box, which gave us a penalty and a chance to equalise. I mean, it's already like 7 minutes on the clock and it could already be 1-1. And it was 1-1 as Joe Jacobson fired away the penalty and got us back into the game. I mean, if we could go on and win the game now, that'd be great, as long as we don't give Coventry any more goals. And that's exactly what we did a couple of minutes later, as Tyler Walker's shot was blocked and Callum O'Hare fired it past our keeper. How are they 2-1 up against me? Like, honestly, how are they 2-1 up against me? They're bottom of the league. And yet there I was bragging about how the 4-4-2 was going to win this game for us because it beat Stoke City a couple of weeks ago. Also forgetting the fact it conceded 12 goals in the previous 2 matches before this one. And so far in the match, after 12 minutes, every shot on target had gone in so far. And Adebayo Akinfenwa decided to do a service to the game and fire the ball off target for the first time. Brilliant. That's my striker there. That's the striker that has scored 2 goals in the championship. Never to score again. And then after 20 minutes, Coventry had another chance as Ryan Giles was played through and he fired it past David Stockdale. We're 3-1 down to Coventry. They are bottom of the league and we're 3-1 down within 20 minutes. I mean, I literally cannot figure out what is going on at the moment. It's probably the shit formation I've picked as well. I don't know why I've played 4-4-2 at home. I thought it was going to work and it hasn't, and look what's happening now. I decided to change some of the roles for some of the players because clearly they don't know what they're doing. And by the way, I know there's 23 minutes on the clock. I was not panicking at this stage. And with a couple of minutes until half time, 2 of the goal scorers combined to put Tyler Walker through on goal, but David Stockdale thankfully saved it. I mean, if we were 4-1 down at half time, I would have just quit the game. By the way, I would never have done that because cheating is bad in Football Manager. Another thing that pissed me off at half time was seeing the expected goals and seeing that we were a lot better than Coventry, and yet we're 3-1 down. And it was time for some drastic changes, and I decided to take off Akinfenwa and bring on a defensive midfielder and Adeniran. I know, we're chasing the game, I have 2 strikers up front, and I've decided to take off one of them for a defensive midfielder. Proudy, you must be an absolute fucking idiot. And you would have been absolutely correct if it wasn't within a minute of the restart. Joe Jacobson's cross found Nick Freeman at the back post, and he headed it past the keeper for his first goal of the season. 3-2, we're back into it. I've somehow scored the same amount of goals in the second half than I did in the first half with 1 less strike on the pitch. Proudy, try and explain that. I mean, I'm not explaining that. Like, you try and explain it to me. But my attacking mentality that I employed in the second half also left us open at the back, and Tyler Walker ran through, but David Stockdale thankfully had enough on his hands to keep it out. I also decided to freshen things up in the middle, and Alex Patterson was subbed off for Dominic Gape, who I'd actually left on the bench for the first time this season. And he was involved straight away as he laid the ball off for Nick Freeman to fire it straight at Morosi. I mean, we've looked like a completely different team in the second half. And the pressure finally paid off as Joe Jacobson played another wonderful cross into the box for Nick Freeman to fire at home and give us a well-deserved equaliser. 3-3. What a game this has been. And a bloke that is only filling in at right mid because my other 2 options are injured has scored 2. I mean, you'd love to see it. 5 episodes it's taken me to say that. I mean, that must be a record. And with a couple of minutes left on the clock, Josh Knight, who I moved into a more advanced role on the pitch, stole the ball on the left-hand side and managed to run through on goal, but his shot was saved by Morosi. I mean, we could have won it right at the end, and it would have come from 2 of the most unlikely sources. But unfortunately, we couldn't get a winner in the end, and we ended up drawing 3-3, which is a little bit disappointing, but I suppose if you had told me before the game that we were going to come back and draw 3-3, I would have taken it every day of the week. But we still drew the bottom team of the league, so all in all, it was a pretty shit result.